Welcome back to the Professional Hate Watching Association. My name is Ethan. I'm here with Daniel, like always. Only a 6-day gap between the last episode and this episode. I'm just super excited to get episode 9 plus 10 out, as you can tell by the title. It was me and Daniel spent time coming up with the titles before every episode. What are we talking about today? This one, I didn't even need a discussion. I just knew
it was too easy. I hopped into the StreamYard room and it was already titled, so that was great. And we got a new streak going.
Rarely does an opportunity like this present itself to name an episode 9 plus 10. And I don't know.
You had to.
It was too easy. Anybody younger than the age of like 16 probably won't get it. And that's okay.
Which is crazy to say, by the way.
Yeah.
That someone might not understand that meme.
The 9 plus 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's from a different era, a bygone era, a long gone era. Yeah. Speaking of eras, Kevin Durant passed Michael Jordan on the scoring list. We're going to talk about that. That happened this weekend. Never mind the fact that it took a Amen Thompson game winner to win that game against the Heat. So a lot to discuss there. But I want to start with what's going on right now, which is that the Lakers are taking their 9-game winning streak on the road right now to Detroit to play the Pistons. And yet the Pistons, without Cade Cunningham, are winning. That's last I checked on the score.
Yep, it's 85-79. Detroit with about 2 minutes left in the third quarter.
So there's two things to unpack here from this. First of all, Detroit obviously doesn't have Cade Cunningham. This news broke the day after that we
almost a week. Pretty much like a week ago.
So Cade Cunningham is not going to be back for some time. I mean, he will be back at some point this season, but because of a partially collapsed lung, something crazy like that.
Yeah,
he's not going to be back for presumably the regular season, but he will be back for a playoff run. Now, it's a small sample size, but the Pistons haven't lost since Cade's been out. Now they're looking for their marquee win without him, which is going to be against the Lakers, who I've said have won 9 straight. But are you at all surprised by how well the Pistons have been playing without Cade?
I'm going to say no, because they do have another all-star on that team in Jalen Duran. And they're a very well-coached team. I think a team that's number 1 in the East shouldn't completely collapse without their best player, because one guy can't be solely responsible for a team having the best record in the conference. Detroit has really, really good players. And when you look at the teams that they've played, they beat up on the Wizards, I think the day the injury announcement came out, and then they beat the Warriors. Some might look at that competition and not be completely impressed by it. But, I mean, if they're able to hang on and beat the Lakers, that's definitely their signature win without Cade Cunningham this season. And I think you have to be impressed by it, because a lot of people probably thought they would take a little bit of a fall off or a back seat without their best player. And, I mean, if they're able to beat the Lakers, a team that came into this game on a 9-game winning streak, who we talked about it in the last episode, that 9-game winning streak wasn't some fluky streak. They beat some pretty good teams during that streak. So I think if the Pistons are able to hang on and get this win, it would make me even more impressed about how they're playing without Cade so far during this little stretch.
Just for context, Jalen Duran in the win versus the Warriors, he proved exactly your point, which is that he's the second all-star on that team for a reason. He put up 23. So he put up 23. Yeah, plus minus 14. So I think that in only 21 minutes, by the way, I think that I texted you after the Cade injury went public when I said, dude, the Celtics might catch the Pistons for the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference.
Right.
But they're still 4.5 games back because the Pistons haven't lost yet. And the Celtics dropped a big one versus the Wolves on, what was that, Sunday night?
Last night, yeah.
Now, obviously, that's not an Eastern Conference matchup, at least for now. If we get NBA expansion, everybody's saying the Wolves should become an Eastern Conference team. But right now, it's not an Eastern Conference matchup, but the Celtics drop another one. I'm not faulting them for that because, again, the Wolves are a very competitive team, but I'm getting proven wrong. I don't know if the Celtics are going to be able to catch the Pistons if they just keep winning. For context, The quarter just ended, and the Lakers have cut the lead to just 2. It's 89-87. So the Lakers could be in for a comeback right now, but I agree with you in that I'm not surprised that the Pistons are still doing well. They're doing what they're supposed to do. I know they haven't played the most competitive team since Cade's injury, but you beat the Pistons you beat the Wizards by a million points. You beat the Warriors by double-digit points. That's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
So, and now you're hanging tough you still have the lead against a team that's on 9 straight. So you get Magic City on Wednesday.
If you watch last episode, you know which team that applies to when
for
when
those
we say
who
Magic
are
City.
unfamiliar, Magic City is our phrase for the Atlanta Hawks. It's to honor the fact that Magic City Monday got canceled. Who did they play on Magic City Monday?
The Orlando Magic. Orlando Magic.
Yeah. So the Pistons, obviously, they have the road ahead is not easy. They got the Hawks. Then next weekend, they got the Wolves, Thunder back to back. And then you have the Wolves again, Sixers, Magic. So it's not an easy final stretch of the regular season, but it does look promising considering that they've still been able to pull their weight and do what they need to do as if Cade Cunningham were there. So I think it's also the fact just the Pistons are one of those teams where they're a great defensive team. So like if you look at these previous two, I mean, excluding this Lakers game, because they've already given up 87 through 3 quarters, but you give up less than 100 to the Wizards, you give up barely 100 to the Warriors. Like that's even if your offense isn't necessarily playing great, I mean, it still has over 110 points both times. Mm-hmm. The defense is the foundation of this team, and that's why they continue to be good because they have really good defenders on that team. So I'm curious to see where they finish. Again, 4.5 games at this point in the season. We have less than a month to go.
It's a lot of games.
It's not insurmountable for the Celtics, but it's a pretty good lead for the Pistons. So at this point, I don't know if the Celtics can catch them, but as we've talked about previously, I don't know if it matters for the Celtics. I mean, they're going to want to try and get that, but I don't think it really matters for them for how good they are. Let's talk about the Lakers, though, because as alluded to earlier, they've won 9 in a row. They just beat the Orlando Magic on Saturday off of a Luke Kennard game winner. It wasn't a buzzer beat. I think he had like 0.6 left, but
0.6, yeah.
A Luke Kennard game winner, no less. Trade deadline acquisition, by the way. All that talk about how the Lakers still don't have good defenders and said they went and got Luke Kennard. Then he immediately goes, oh yeah, watch this game winner. Doesn't necessarily answer our questions or our concerns about the Lakers, but here come the Lakers, 9 in a row. Since the last time we talked about this on Tuesday, they have beaten Houston again, which, again, is another marquee win. Again, they beat the Magic, which is not a Western Conference matchup, and the Magic have been inconsistent. But going on the road trip is that's not an easy game.
Yeah.
So has your opinion at all? And they beat the Heat as well.
Right.
Behind
60 points from Luka, by the way.
Yeah, was that Luka's 60 piece? Yeah.
Yeah, I think he had 5 steals in that game or something like that too.
Something crazy. So they're proving us wrong on a lot of fronts, but they've kept winning. Has your opinion at all shifted on the Lakers in the last three games?
Before I get into that, just some things about the Luke Kennard game winner. I saw something on social media the other day. Again, just shedding light on how long LeBron has been in the league and how old he is compared to other NBA players. So I didn't know that Luke Kennard used to play on LeBron's AAU team. And I think it was Bleacher Report that posted a picture of the two of them when Kennard was on his team. And now he just hit a game winner as LeBron's teammate in the NBA. So that was something pretty cool to see. And then I feel like if you're a Lakers fan, you had to have like flashbacks / like PTSD from game 5 of the 2020 finals when Danny Green had that wide open 3 at the top of the key against Miami and missed it. Do you remember that? I don't remember what the exact situation was. I think it was going for the win, or it might have been to tie it. I don't remember, but I was just surprised that a wide open shooter for the Lakers was able to make a 3 with the game on the line. So that was a really good win. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, did you see the clip where he got bumped on the inbounds play and he had to adjust his shooting sleeve right before he hit the game? Like, that was pretty – I didn't see that on first watch.
That was pretty cool, not going to lie. And I don't think we think of Luke Kennard as a guy that has, like, I don't know, any aura in the league, but, like, that's That's like a clip you can show your kids later and be like, look at how I hit this game winner while after I was adjusting my shooting sleeve. So,
He's definitely not the first on just nonchalantly too.
yeah.
He's definitely not the first person I think of, but he's definitely gone up the list after that moment, just because of how well, or just, how that whole thing played out. But here come the Lakers. They're now 2.5 games ahead of Houston, who they've won the last 2 games. Off the top of my head, I don't know if they hold the tiebreaker or what that means, but they've shown that they can beat Houston consistently. Yeah. So, that's obviously a great look for them. But I think about where they are. They're slowly separating themselves, or at least trying to, from the rest of the Western Conference pack, because it's obviously, we talked about this last week. It said the Thunder, the Spurs, and then everybody else. And now here come the Lakers, because the next 3 teams all have the same, or they don't all have the same winning percentage, but they're all 2.5 games back of the Lakers right now. That's Houston, Denver, Minnesota.
Yeah.
So you want to try to avoid that pack, because if you fall into those 3 teams, into the middle of that, you could fall anywhere from the 3 seed all the way down to 6.
Right.
So that is not where you want to be. Especially because it's looking like that's where they'll end up. They'll be a playoff team, because then there's another 4-game drop off from 6 to 7 between the Wolves and the Suns. So
right.
The Lakers needed this, because we were talking, I don't know when's the last time we talked about the Lakers as a team competitively before last week, but there were real questions if they were going to actually make the playoffs, or if they were going to be a play-in team.
Right.
And
right.
Now they've pretty much cemented themselves again. Not an insurmountable deficit, but with less than a month left of the season, you just feel like they're going to be a playoff team, not fighting for a spot.
For sure. And then you asked me if my opinion on the team has changed. So last week I said, I think their ceiling is a 2nd-round exit, and I still feel that way, because it seems like they're still having issues getting LeBron, Austin Reeves, and Luka to all play well together at the same time. And that's not super surprising, given how 2 of those guys are guards, so obviously they need the ball in their hands. And then LeBron is someone who's been a facilitator his entire career. If you just take this game against Detroit, for example, the Lakers are currently down by 4 with 10:33 left in the 4th, and LeBron has 5 points on 2 of 8 shooting, and he's a -9, while Luka has 28 and Austin Reeves has 22. And I think for the Lakers to have any remote chance to at least get to the conference finals this year, I feel like they need to get to a space where all 3 of those guys are dominating, where Luka is clearly the best player on the court in any series he plays. He has to play that well. And then you have Austin Reeves being able to play well off of him. And then you have LeBron, who can still put up numbers, but is just being more of a facilitator, taking good shots. All 3 of them playing well at the same time. And they still haven't really figured that out yet. So I'm still not sold on them as a team that can win the West this season.
Yeah, I just think that this is kind of splitting hairs, but the opinion can change, but the result can stay. The predicted result can still be the same. What do I mean by this? Well, I still believe the Western Conference is the Thunder and the Spurs, and then everybody else. If the Lakers finish as the 3 seed and they have to play the Spurs in the 2nd round, assuming that both of those teams make it that far, but we would let's assume that they go to the 2nd round, the Lakers can't beat the Spurs. At least at this point, I don't believe they can. Now, they could flip a table or pull the rug out from under us and win in 6. That's also legitimate reality, because they have Luka Doncic, who can score 50 to 60 points on any given night.
Right.
But if I just look at it on paper, the Spurs are such a well-built team, or let's say they fall to 4 or 5, then you got to play the Thunder. And the Thunder are using witchcraft. They play football. Your words and my words. Nobody's beating the Thunder. So
they just got Jalen Williams back today too, off the injury report. So
they're getting healthy at the right time, but you wouldn't even believe that they've been dealing with injuries because they've just kept winning. They had that kind of a slide after their 24-0 start got broken. Everybody was calling them mortal and stuff. That just meant that they weren't 73 win Warriors caliber.
Right.
But they're still a great basketball team. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is likely on his way to a second straight MVP, whether that be because of him deserving it or the 65-game rule eliminating other competition. No. But he's definitely a finalist. Regardless, I just don't know if the Lakers, as it stands right now, they're showing promise, more than promise. They're putting a great product out on the court. I still just think they're at the top of the tier below the Thunder and the Spurs. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah. And I think when you talk about, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying, because they've proven they've beaten everybody, but consistently, not except Houston.
Right. True. And I feel like when you're talking about teams in the West that are contenders this year, everybody talks about the Thunder, the Nuggets, obviously the Spurs. I feel like after last night's win, I feel like you have to throw Minnesota in there. And they've been good all year, but I think that's one of the more impressive wins I've seen in a really, really long time, considering the fact that regular season wins, I should say, considering the fact that the Minnesota Timberwolves had not won a game at TD Garden in Boston since 2005.
Mind
For
you,
context, I wasn't even 2 years old the last time they won a game in Minnesota. I think it was March 2005. That's what they said on the broadcast. So I wasn't even
Kevin
2 years
Garnett
old.
was on the Wolves at that point.
Sam Cassell, who's on the Celtics assistant coaching staff, was also starting for the Timberwolves back then in 2005. I think Mariah Carey had a song that was charting #1 in 2005. YouTube was founded in 2005. So like that was the last time the Timberwolves won a game in Minnesota. And they did it with no Anthony Edwards. And they did it with Julius Randle shooting 3 of 14 March 14th from the field. So they had Bones Highland step up. Naz Reid made some good plays. So like the Timberwolves are an impressive team. I just always worry about them because it seems like their talent doesn't always match the results. Like I think they should have been much more competitive in the last 2 conference finals they were in. There's no way they should have lost those series in 5 games. And do I think they're going to get to the finals this year? No. But would I be surprised either? Also, no. So I feel like you got to mention them, though, is when they get Anthony Edwards back healthy from his injury. If they're able to like just make good decisions in crunch time, I think they're a contender to win the West. Like if some stuff falls their way, you never know with injuries in the playoffs, never wishing injuries on everybody or on anybody, obviously. But if they stay healthy and some stuff falls their way, like they could also be in that contender of teams to win the West. I wouldn't be surprised if they do it this year.
Me too. And this of all years would be the year that the Timberwolves do it, when they're not a top 3 seed in the Western Conference and they have to go play more games on the road than they do at home and they end up winning the whole thing. I wouldn't be surprised by it as well. I think part of it that was so impressive to me, I also big shout out to Ayo Dosunmu, who put up 17 points himself, trade deadline acquisition. They were excited about him. And in a big game like this, he showed why they were excited about him.
Right.
I look at the defensive side of this. Obviously, when you have Rudy Gobert on your team, the baseline of your defense is already going to be a little bit higher than most teams in basketball. But Jason Tatum, 16 points in 31 minutes. Took him 16 shots to get there. Sam Hauser, 2 points. Neemias Queta, 4 points. Like Jaylen Brown, 29 points on 26 shots. Like that's not efficient basketball that they forced the Celtics into doing. And that's a Celtics team that has done that more often than not. We just saw them put up a clinic just a few weeks ago in crypto Staples Center versus the Lakers on Sunday night. That was a few weeks ago. Peyton Pritchard was making them look silly. And that's the same Peyton Pritchard who only put up 10 points on 11 shots last night against the Wolves.
Right.
So it's just one game. We both know this, 1 out of 82. But it's very promising when you look at how well the Wolves played without Anthony Edwards. I fully agree with you there. When I saw the game, actually, because I didn't watch the game, or I didn't watch the start, I didn't realize Ant wasn't playing. And I
didn't either.
Wow, this is a competitive game. And I realized after like watching it for like 5-10 minutes, I was like, wait, I haven't seen Ant all game. And
yeah,
I was like, oh, he's not even playing.
Yeah.
So
I was watching the game, like waiting for him to sub in, forgetting the fact that he got injured and he's going to be reevaluated in like a week and a half or 2 weeks or something like that. So, and like, Julius, they didn't get anything offensively from Julius Randle, barely, and they still won that game. Bones
they
Highland
didn't get
too had a really good
anything
game as
from
well.
Julius Randle, dude. Like that's
Yeah.
And then they got I mean, yeah, Bones Highland, Nas Reeds. I mean, 11 points on 12 shots isn't great, but like it's doable. Jaden McDaniels, they got
It's
KD, but
enough.
we got Jaden McDaniels.
Yeah.
But again, it's give and take because literally on Friday night they lost to the Blazers. Now the Blazers are no pushover team, but like they're giving up 26 points to Jeremy Grant on 16 shots. No disrespect to Jeremy Grant, but it's give and take here.
Yeah.
So it's just ironically Julius Randle had a better game that game. Funny
Donovan
enough.
Clingan had 21 and 12.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Denny Abdia 25 on 18 shots. Like, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's give and take, obviously, but you know we'll see what they're made of. They play the Pistons twice in 5 days coming up in the season. So they got a big stretch ahead of them, and they're gonna have to do some of it without Ant. So they could very well race up the list, up the
standings.
Up the standings. Yeah, up the standings. They could very well race up the standings, but it ain't gonna be easy. But they've shown, I think, this win versus Boston. I agree with you. It's arguably their best win all season.
Yeah,
it's up there.
Yeah,
but they got to start. They start on Wednesday at home against Houston, so that's a big game.
Who's currently losing by 20 to the Bulls right now?
Who is?
The Rockets are down 20 to the Bulls.
Are you serious?
Towards the end of the first half.
They tell me real basketball is gets played in Houston. That's what I was. Jabari Smith has 0 points.
Oof.
Jabari Smith Jr. is 0 for 6.
Tari Eason still hasn't made a 3-pointer. I think he's made 1 3-pointer the entire month of March. He's 0 for 2 from 3 right now.
Damn. Hey, Clint Capella's he hasn't missed a shot. 1 for 1. Let's talk about the Rockets though, because the Rockets obviously dropped back-to-back games to the Lakers literally before we went live last week and then after we went live the next day. So the Rockets are kind of up and down right now. I think the fact that they don't have a true point guard is setting in. I mean, it has been all season. But Kevin Durant did pass Michael Jordan for 5th all-time on the all-time NBA scoring list. Now, my immediate reaction was, I forget that MJ is now that low on the list. I say low, like 5 is low on the list, but I forget that sometimes because Braun has been number 1 for some time now, and he just keeps adding. He's now 10,000 points ahead of MJ or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
So I low-key forget that MJ's right there, and somebody else is in the same, stratosphere. It just so happens to be Kevin Durant. What was your reaction?
Right. So who are the guys in front of KD? It's LeBron, it's Kareem, Karl Malone, and then who's the other?
It's Kobe.
Other player? Kobe. Okay. So first, my initial reaction is obviously it's a great testament to the longevity of Kevin Durant, who's in his, I think, 18th season this year. Still like pretty much a locked 25 point per game scorer, one of the best scorers in the league. So he's still doing it, and he's still a really, really good player. But my other reaction is, for a guy who just moved into 5th all-time in scoring and has one of the greatest basketball resumes, I think, definitely one of the greatest basketball resumes ever. Like, if you took KD's resume and did like a blind resume to like somebody who had never watched basketball and you just read off some of his accomplishments, 2-time NBA champion, 2-time finals MVP, 16-time All-Star, MVP winner, rookie of the year, 4-time scoring champion, 75th anniversary team, Olympic gold medal winner. I think anyone would say that's like a top 10 basketball player of all time, just based off of resume alone. But I feel like people aren't going to give Kevin Durant the hype and respect that this accomplishment deserves, because I feel like people will never let go of him going to the Warriors, him chasing those 2 championships, and how he acts off the court, on social media, especially with Twitter, always going back at fans, coming off as sensitive. The KD files, the stuff that came out a few weeks ago during All-Star break. I feel like everything that all the off-court narratives around KD, like how the path he took to win his rings, how he engages with fans off the court, what he does on social media, I feel like that sort of masks and takes away from the fact that he's done all this crazy stuff in the NBA. And I guess in a way, it's kind of his fault because nobody forces him to go on Twitter and talk trash to fans or create burner accounts to talk trash about his teammates and coaches. So I just feel like this accomplishment should be getting talked about a lot more than it is. Like, he's 5th all time in scoring, which is crazy for a guy who is just pure jump shots, pure hooper, you know? So I feel like the fact that he's 5th all time in scoring just adds to his great resume, but I feel like people aren't going to give it the hype and respect that it deserves because of off the court narratives.
Agreed. I think part of the Kevin Durant legacy is how complicated it is. And I think as someone who, you know, I mean, you and I both grew up seeing prime Kevin Durant in Golden State when he won those 2 championships and presumably would have won a third if he didn't tear his Achilles. But I think Kevin Durant will go down as one of those players that when he's done playing and years down the road, they'll then remember him for all of the positives. It's how a lot of it happens. Like
Right.
you get what I'm talking about, right? Where it's like, think of Tim Duncan, for example. And I'm not comparing Kevin Durant to Tim Duncan at all. But think of Tim Duncan, for example. He was one of the greatest, arguably the greatest power forward ever. And he never really got a lot of recognition, obviously for different reasons. It's more so his personality because he was very, quiet, just went to do his job, Mr. Fundamental.
Right.
And now that years have passed since he's retired, everybody's looking at the statistics only, or they'll jump straight to just the statistics and immediately be like, why is this guy not like a top 10 player? Like solidified, no questions asked, which there's an argument to be made about Tim Duncan being a top 10 player ever, especially if he's considered the greatest power ever.
Yeah.
But it's not one of those set in stone things. Like, there's room for debate. Kevin Durant, I can imagine will fall into a similar situation with how he's viewed by NBA fans years down the line. And I'm not saying that, again, not the same reasons because of Tim Duncan. Arguably, it's the opposite. He's much more polarizing. But years from now, they'll look at the statistics and they'll probably think, why is this guy not consensus top 5? Honestly.
Yeah.
Because that resume's top 10 easily. But that I think people would make the argument for top 5. And that's when the debate will happen, which is, you weren't around. You didn't watch him on the Warriors. You didn't watch him ruin basketball for 3 years, allegedly. So I think that's what he's destined to end up as. And I don't really think he cares. At least he'll say he doesn't care, but you look at his history with burner accounts and beefing with fans. By the way, I don't really have an issue with that. I think too many people say too many things online and don't face accountability for it. Yeah. Kevin Durant just goes on about it in a silly way. Let's just say it like that. So I actually don't have issues with him beefing with fans on Twitter, but that leads into the whole thing of, it's complicated, but I do think he will benefit from when he finally calls it a career years down the line. They'll look at it and they'll be like, wow, maybe we didn't appreciate him enough, which is kind of crazy to think about because he's arguably the greatest scorer of the 21st century.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. And I get what you're saying with that Tim Duncan example too. I feel like people took Timmy for granted while he was playing in terms of what we were seeing on the basketball court, like a guy who was, like you said, Mr. Fundamental, pure power forward, post player, won 5 championships, accomplished a lot. I wonder though if the age that Kevin Durant is playing in terms of the social media age of the NBA, everybody has access to Twitter, Instagram, and I feel like just the narratives surrounding KD, I don't think people are just going to forget about them with time when he retires. I feel like people are always going to feel like this guy only cared about ring chasing. He joined the greatest team ever, the team that beat him in a series when he was up 3-1. Like people always like to say, the Thunder were, if you want to put it like this, 48 minutes away from an NBA Finals berth in the 2016 playoffs if they had just won Game 7 or just finished off the Warriors at any point when they were up 3-1. And he lost and he joined that team. And I think maybe people would feel differently about it if he never left, if his post Golden State Warriors career hasn't been as I'll say underwhelming as it has been, because obviously he went to Brooklyn. People argue that he would have won a championship if his foot was if his foot was a size shorter. I obviously disagree with that for personal reasons, but yeah, and that's like what I think that's one of. So that year he won a playoff series, and then he won one playoff series in Phoenix. So he's won 2 playoff series since leaving the Warriors. Joined the Rockets this year in hopes of they were the 2nd seed in the West last year. They were missing perimeter scoring, so they went and traded for Kevin Durant. But I mean, if you look at the Suns and the Rockets this year, some people will say that the Suns are having a better season than Houston because Houston's further down in the standings than they were last year. And the Suns are overachieving. Like Devin Booker's playing well. Dylan Brooks and Jalen Green seem to be fitting in with him in Phoenix. So I think the fact that his post Golden State Warriors career has been super disappointing in terms of being able to quote unquote be a leader on a championship team, leading your team to a championship, that plays into it. And then I just think the fact that I don't know, it's just like, because KD is so sensitive about people calling him out for leaving Oklahoma City, going to Golden State, I think the fact that he keeps on fighting that shows that deep down there may be some insecurities about how he won his championships. I'm not sure, but I think that definitely that plays a role into how his legacy will ultimately be talked about once he retires also.
You're right on 2 fronts. First, underappreciated. That's the word that had escaped my mind, but that's the word. I think of it with Tim Duncan. I think some people do that with Dirk as well. Funny, I'm bringing up only power forwards, but yeah, Kevin Durant, I think underappreciated, specifically his post Golden State years, because you're absolutely right. It's been underwhelming, especially when you consider he won back-to-back finals in Golden State with back-to-back finals MVPs. And regardless of if he's wearing a shoe size smaller or, anything like that, it has been underwhelming. But I do think this is the era that will get greater appreciation when it's all said and done, because he's still one of the greatest. He's been one of the greatest scorers of the 2020s, which is kind of crazy because this entire era has been post Achilles tear.
Right.
Who was it? Was it Jason Tatum or was it Tyrese Halliburton? They said they're like, Kevin Durant was the person who inspired me that I'll be okay after this.
It was probably one of those two.
But regardless of what they said, that's part of why I think, you and I talk about this too. We're not all that worried about what these players look like coming. I mean, unfortunately, maybe Dame just because he's older, but Tyrese Halliburton and Jason Tatum's already back. But Halliburton, we're not really concerned about what he's going to look like because we've seen it. A player come back from this injury that used to be really career ending and continue to play at that same level. That's Kevin Durant. But I agree. There's this dark cloud, and not even a dark cloud, but there's this almost, there's this cloud that hangs over him since he came back from his Achilles tear, which is that everything that happened in Golden State, he hasn't done himself any favors with his actions with his talking trash on Twitter. But I do think this is the era that will be more appreciated when it's all said and done, because I think so many people write it off. I think it's a mix of people writing it off because of what he did with Golden State and a mix of it's kind of just expected from him after everything they saw for the 10 years before that or something. Yeah. So I think it's a mix of both, but I think specifically this era of Kevin Durant, I'm talking Nets, Suns, Rockets, however long this will go, this is the era that people will look back on with a greater appreciation, because we're watching a player who is supposed to really be in his twilight, but is still putting up great numbers day in and day out. And I think there will be some fans who, especially fans that didn't get to grow up with quote unquote prime Kevin Durant. I'm talking about, his MVP year with the Thunder, his time with Golden State, or those who willingly looked away from it. And I'm not even trying to fault people for doing that, because if Kevin, I'm trying to think of a non-Warriors perspective, because I can do that now because the team is, the way that it is now.
Yeah.
I don't blame anybody for wanting to look away from Kevin Durant when he was on the Warriors, because it pissed a lot of people off.
Right.
But I think doing that, combined with the people who didn't get a chance to watch him then, we'll look back on this era and be like, damn, I took him for granted a little bit because he was still putting up great numbers. That's the long story short. That's what I was getting. That's what I'm getting at.
That's true. And I think one reason people definitely take KD for granted in this area, I still believe I'm not taking Kevin Durant for granted as a player in terms of his abilities and what I'm watching on the court. Like, this is a guy that basically was an inspiration for all the guys you see now, like Victor Wembanyama, being able to be a 7-footer with elite handles, can shoot from anywhere on the court. Guys like that. Jason Tatum's another one, obviously. Brandon Ingram, to a lesser degree, is somebody I think of who resembles Kevin Durant's playing style. So, like, 7-footers being able to handle the ball and initiate offense and do their thing on the court, that's because mainly this era of players is because of Kevin Durant. Like, even like Cooper Flagg, who you're seeing now, who's not that tall compared to those guys, but still like a really, really big guy who's able to play some point guard a little bit and initiate offense. Kevin Durant, the player, I would never take him for granted in terms of what I'm seeing from a basketball ability standpoint. But when you talk about legacy, I think one big reason why this era of KD, the post Golden State Warriors era, won't be appreciated maybe as much as it should is because the Warriors won a title after he left. That 2022 title, you could argue that the Celtics were obviously the biggest loser because they lost that finals, but you could argue the second biggest loser was Kevin Durant because his team won a title after he left when Draymond Green was over there screaming to him on the bench. This was what everyone was saying was his breaking point when Draymond Green called him the B word and said, "We don't even need you. We won a title without you." And then they did it again after he left. So I think
that Celtics team, mind you, to the if I'm not mistaken, that was the same Celtics team that swept the Nets that same playoffs, was it not?
Yeah.
And Kevin Durant had like his worst playoff series ever.
Yeah. So yeah, Kevin Durant, the basketball player, I have nothing to say. Like, ability wise, I don't even think there's like honestly like three guys I can name ability wise I'm taking over Kevin Durant all time, to be completely honest with you. Like, just in terms of pure basketball skill, but in terms of legacy, I think there's definitely a lot of question marks. And I think complicated is a good word that you use to describe it, because there's definitely some stuff that you can point to and be like, it just doesn't like what am I trying to say? Like, when you look at it, like on paper, the legacy, the resume is elite, like top 10 all time. But when you actually poke holes into it and dig a little deeper, there's definitely, I feel like, some left to be desired there in terms of what his career fully could have been.
You're right. And I know that you'll never write off Kevin Durant, the basketball player, but I think I'm speaking in general of those who would do it because they look from the other perspective, which is that they look at all of the complicated parts first, and then therefore they end up writing off more than they should, which is the basketball player and his God-given abilities as a basketball player. But I think the pendulum will probably shift once he's done playing, which is that they'll come at it from the other perspective, which is they'll look at the stats first and they'll be like, God, why did we take this guy for granted? And then they look at everything else. They'd be like, oh, that's probably why. So regardless though, top 5 in scoring is pretty ridiculous. Shout out to Tony, his GOAT, now top 5 in scoring. Top 5 in score. I mean, weighing longevity stuff has always been a thing about LeBron and whether he's the greatest player of all time. I do think, though, that with Kevin Durant breaking top 5 in all scoring, I think it's really hard for him to not be considered a top 10 player ever. Yeah. I think that's just – it's really difficult. And, again, it all comes down to how much you weigh longevity in those statistics. I weigh it pretty heavily. But regardless, though, I just think, again, God-given ability as a scorer. If somebody woke up from a 10-year coma, tell them Kevin Durant's still doing it. Like – yeah. And they'd be, and they probably would still believe you because it's just how ridiculous he was and how he still is. But enough about Kevin Durant and the Rockets. Speaking of scorers, the Bucks just released arguably their best scorer in Cam Thomas. You told me about this just minutes before we went live. You want to talk about that for me?
This is just ridiculous. And then mind you, the Bucks play at the Clippers tonight at 7:30. I was actually thinking I wanted to go to this game, but once the injury report came out last week that Giannis was going to be reevaluated in 1 week, I knew he wasn't going to play, so like I didn't even bother. The Bucks waiving Cam Thomas is the funniest thing ever, because like, what's the point? I don't get it. You know, you're not making the playoffs. They're like, what, like 6.5 games back from Charlotte for the 10th seed with, I think you said there's how many games left? Like 12, 13 in the regular season,
give or take. Yeah.
So like, you know, you're not making the playoffs. I just don't really understand why you're waiving him at this point. Like, at least let him stay on the team for vibes, because he every now and then he'll have one of those games like his I think his second game with the Bucks against the Magic, when he hit that deep three towards the end of the game, and we got that funny Giannis meme on the sideline of his reaction. Like at least let him stay on the team for vibes. I just don't get this move at all. I don't know, dude. I just can't wait for this season to be over from a Bucks fan perspective. At least we finally got some news that if Giannis doesn't sign his so Bucks ownership did like a sit down interview with Ramona Shelburne from ESPN, and they basically said that if Giannis doesn't sign his 4-year, $275 million extension this summer, then we're going to trade him, because he's entering the last year of his deal. He has a player option after this season. So at least we now know what we think everybody already pretty much knew, that if he doesn't sign his extension this summer, he's going to get traded and he'll be playing on a new team next year. Which team that is, I don't know. But if Giannis does sign that extension, I have to really question how much he wants to actually win a championship. That's just all I'm going to say.
He is 31 too. Not that that's old, but like, my point of bringing that up is he's still in his prime. He can contribute wherever. He could still be a top 10 player, arguably top 5 player, wherever. I just think it's, by the way, the Bucks have 12 games left, counting tonight's game versus the Clippers. I just think it's like, why'd you get him in the first place?
Right.
Because I don't feel like, and you got exactly what was advertised. Now, I'm not going to lie and say that I've watched a bunch of Bucks games since they've signed him, but you've definitely watched more than me. And I think you can attest to what I'm about to say.
Dude, maybe not. It might be the same.
What?
I said it might be the same. We might have watched the same amount. Like, however many you watched, it's probably around the same.
The Bucks got what advertised with Cam Thomas. Am I not wrong to say that? Like they got what was advertised. A
high volume shooter, not very efficient, and every now and then he'll have some games where it's like, oh, now you're reminded why this guy was a 22, 24 point per game scorer his first like 3 years in the league with Brooklyn. But I mean, yeah, you're right. Like the Bucks just had the Cam Thomas experience, and it's so funny because I saw Shams' post announcing that they had cut him, and in the description he mentioned how Bucks GM John Horst and ownership sold him as a pivotal piece to their road to the playoffs, like wanting to contend. And Doc Rivers was comparing him to Jamal Crawford and Lou Williams, like the GOAT sixth men of all time after that game against the Magic, and now he's just not on the team anymore. They couldn't even wait until after tonight's game. They just cut him.
I was gonna say, what does bro do? He's probably in LA, is he not?
Probably, yeah.
Like, what does bro do? Does he just go home? I'm confused. So,
yeah,
timing of it is honestly hilarious. I think it perfectly captures how random and chaotic the Bucks season has been. I think that's really the best way to describe it.
Yeah,
just because of how the whole season has gone.
Right.
Speaking of chaos, I think the best team that encapsulates that, maybe other than the Bucks, is the Clippers, who they are playing tonight. Darius Garland had 41 points this weekend against the Dallas Mavericks in a game where they needed him to score that much, by the way. They won in overtime, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
Your reaction, because I know that we have never discredited Darius Garland. The question was always about his availability health-wise. It's not about his play. But I know you saw that. I texted you about it. You saw that too, and you were like, dude, what is going on?
That's, I think, what you would call, I don't know if you would call it a legacy game, because, I mean, it's a regular season game against the Mavericks, but at this point, like you said, the Clippers kind of need to win as many games as they can to kind of stay in that range for the play-in. I don't know off the top of my head what seed they are, but, I mean, this is why they traded for Darius Garland, because, I mean, other than, well, maybe they traded for him because James Harden randomly asked for a trade in the middle of the season, but this is the upside that you're expecting with him. Not to score 40 points every night, but to be a guy that can be both a combination of a scorer and a playmaker. Like he's always been like an 18 and 8 guy in his career. And next to Kawhi Leonard, when you have Kawhi, you have Benedict Mathurin on that team too, who in his own right, I think is a pretty, I'm not going to say elite scorer, but he's a capable scorer. I think he wasn't able to show off all of his ability in Indiana because of the fact that they're a team that likes to move the ball around a lot. Nobody really dominates the ball on that team. So I think him being on the Clippers is a better opportunity for him to showcase what he can really do as a scorer. But I mean, this is why you traded for Darius Garland, like scoring, playmaking. We'll see if he can be consistent enough to get the Clippers, because they're still in contention for the play-in. Yeah,
they are the 8th seed right now, and I honestly, they could theoretically fall out, but because like the Pelicans at 11 are so far behind, the Warriors are at 10th, by the way.
Okay.
The Pelicans are so far behind that I just don't think that they can catch them. So I imagine that the Clippers are going to stay in the play-in. It shit comes down to seeding. They theoretically could catch the Suns for 7, but like they're 7.5 games behind the Wolves. I don't see it happening for 6.
Yeah.
So they're a play-in team, it looks like, but it comes down to where they're sitting. I just think about how bad the Clippers needed this, dude. Like Kawhi had 34 that night as well. Dude, the Clippers had lost the previous 4 in a row, 3 of which were to non-playoff teams, including the most ethical tank of all time, the Sacramento Kings. So I always go back to when they interviewed Kawhi, when Kawhi was in a post-game interview in the locker room, and he was like basically saying, yeah, it's over this season. I was like, what? And then the Clippers got above 500, and we were like, it's not over, Kawhi. And then they dropped 4 in a row, 3 of which back-to-back games to the Pelicans, by the way.
Yeah.
I thought they lost that first game. I'm like, there's no way they lose the next one. And then what did they do? Lost the next one. Like,
was Kawhi out for one of those games? Did he miss the second one?
Did he miss the second one?
Yeah,
he did.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he did.
But like, still, I feel like they should beat the Pelicans.
Well, you know what's funny is that Kawhi missed the second one, and the Clippers were more competitive in the second one.
Yeah, it looks like Mathurin didn't play either. I don't see him on the box score anywhere.
How that works, but oh my god, it's just crazy, dude. The Clippers are proving exactly what we all thought, which is that they're on paper. I mean, at the beginning of the season, on paper, they were a great team, but they're still a really competitive team, especially post 6-21 start.
Mm-hmm.
The 4 straight losses are a bummer, but they're probably not going to make it out of the play-in anyway, both missing it or advancing past it. But they'll probably get a playoff spot. They can compete with Phoenix, and they're probably going to beat, I hate to admit this, but like they'll probably beat either the Blazers or the Warriors, whoever wins that 9-10 game. So if they're healthy, they'll do it. So the Clippers will probably get a first-round matchup with the Thunder, and they'll get into the playoffs. And then, they'll bow out in 5 games, and then we'll go back to the drawing board.
I'd love to see them get 2 games on the Thunder. I don't know if it'll happen, but I feel like if they're firing on all cylinders, they could steal 2 games off of Oklahoma City.
Can they get what team do they have a better chance? Because if this is the situation right now, they'll play Phoenix for the 7th seed in the playoffs. Do they have a better chance a fighting chance against the Spurs at 2 or the Thunder at 1?
For some reason, just based off of vibes, I could see them getting 2 games on the Thunder, but I feel like they would get gentlemen swept.
They would bow out in 5.
Or even swept maybe by the Spurs. I don't know.
I just think that what I've seen from the Spurs is that team is a bunch of, I mean this in a positive way, a bunch of psychopaths. Like they want to win so bad that I just don't know if there's, honestly anybody, like if the Warriors get the 7th seed, some act of God, like, oh dude, it's over. It's curtains.
Yeah. I mean, the Spurs, I was just going to say the Spurs just blew out Miami today. Wemby, 26 minutes, 26 points, 15 boards, and 5 blocks. So
9-1 in their last 10, by the way. I mean, the Thunder have won 12 in a row, but
I feel like every time I look at Wemby's box score, I feel like it's hard. I can't remember a game where he didn't have at least 5 blocks. Like if I were to take Wemby's block average for every time I checked his box score, he averages like 5 blocks a game. I swear.
Yeah. I mean, he averages. What does he average? What's he averaging this year? He's averaging something crazy like
Is it 3? Is it?
It's 3. It's 3 flat. So it's
Okay.
actually a step below what he'd averaged his previous 2. Last year he averaged damn near 4. But yeah, you're right. It's just whenever you get the urge to think, oh, let me check the Spurs box score. He's got 4 or 5 blocks. It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
But therein lies the Victor Wembanyama paradox. He's not a real person, I don't think.
No.
I don't think he's real.
In a good way, obviously.
No, yeah, in a good way, obviously. I love Wembanyama ball. Tony and Eck noticed. They bought me the blanket.
Yep. Your top 3 MVP candidate from last year when we used to do views from the sidelines. That is like aging like fine wine, because if he were healthy enough this year and was playing the whole year, like he would be like, maybe it would be him and Shea like neck and neck for MVP.
No, you know what the thing is that yes, I mean I would have loved to toot my own horn and agree, but I just feel like the NBA, as much as we talk about voter fatigue, the NBA doesn't have media fatigue. And I'm not knocking the NBA media. I'm talking about, well, I guess I am kind of sort of, but like the NBA media doesn't have an issue continuing to push the same players for MVP. They haven't quite gotten to the Wembanyama arc yet. They're still on Shea, Jokic. Not saying these 2 players don't deserve it, because I would argue Nikola Jokic has been the most valuable player in basketball for the last 4 or 5 years.
Like 5 years, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not at all knocking them, but Wembanyama hasn't hit the point yet, I think, where they just continue to push him as well.
That's fair.
Now, could it have been this year? Maybe. It could have been, but, it's probably next year, to be honest.
Yeah. And
It's probably next year, to be honest.
Other score updates, the Pistons beat the Lakers by 3. 113 to 110. Dennis Jenkins, 30 points. The only reason I really know who that is because of fantasy basketball. And Jalen Duren, 20 and 10. 10 of 10 from the free throw line. So,
hey, man,
the Pistons are good. I feel like with the Pistons, nobody's saying they aren't a good team and aren't to be respected. I feel like I just question their legitimacy as a championship contender, because I think they need one more like bona fide scorer outside of Cade Cunningham, like one other guy that can get you to like 20 every night.
They got Tobias Harris.
Own.
They got Tobias Harris.
Yeah, they got Tobias Harris going May 14th, 14 points against the Lakers. That's not going to get it done.
They got Duncan Robinson, bro. What you talking about?
McLemore's not going to get it done either.
Dude,
they need
Karis
someone
LeVert.
else.
I forgot about Karis LeVert.
Javonte Green, Red Velvet, Kevin Huerter had some points.
Yeah. So
Luka had 30, by the way. Another 30.
Braun hit double-digit points. We're all good.
I wonder what his streak is now that after it broke this year.
Well, we can just go back and track it from that Raptors game. I remember it. DeAndre Ayton, hey, 13 points, 5 of 6. That's very Clint Capella numbers, if you ask me.
No, that's like the epitome of Clint Capella numbers.
13
right
and 10.
13 and 10.
That's like
steal.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, I don't know, dude. Luka 3 of 13 from the field, bro, from 3, bro.
And the Pacers beat the Magic. Also,
they did
37 from Pascal Siakam, all-star.
Dude, that's an all-star right there. I don't know why people were so. I think Pascal Siakam is one of those players where he's one of those guys that will go underappreciated for all of his career, and then they'll look back on it because he's been putting up great statistics ever since the finals run with the Raptors.
Yeah.
Like ever since then, because then he became option 1 with the Raptors. Then he got sent to Indiana. He's been putting up great numbers, but nobody, because he played with Kawhi, so he was never going to be option 1. And now he plays in Indiana. Like that's Halliburton's team. So nobody like really, I feel like he doesn't get enough credit until he shows up on the all-star roster and people are like, why is he here? And then they're like, oh, that's why.
Yeah. And then he's also one of those players where, unfortunately, this is a big thing. When you watch him play, nothing really like jumps out at you when you watch him play. Like he's a guy, he can get you 20 and like 7 boards every night. So I think there's nothing too flashy about him, which also kind of goes into how people evaluate players.
Yeah.
Paolo Banchero had 39 also. Actually, like a decent game. 13 to 27. Like that's right up. That's like what, right below 50%. So
yeah,
not great efficiency, but I mean 39.
I mean 13 to 27 ain't bad.
Yeah,
like that's not ridiculous. I mean, for context,
PB,
Pascal's averaging For context, Siakam's averaging this year damn near 24, 7, and 4. So he's a great ball player. Magic City blew out the Memphis Grizzlies.
Mm-hmm.
It's not over yet, but dude,
that's a horrible loss for Orlando though. Like on the real,
that is a bad loss. Yeah,
like, you can't lose to the Pacers.
that drops them in the standings too.
They're
in a race. Yeah. They're like the race in the Western Conference is for the play-in. There's also one to get out of the play-in for the Eastern Conference. Like the Hawks, Magic, Sixers, and Heat are all neck and the Hornets. Like they're all neck and neck. The Hawks are the 6th seed today. They can end up as the 10 seed next week. Like that's just how the cookies crumbling right now in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, the Magic have lost 5 in a row. They're in a little bit of a dry spell right now. At the absolute worst time to be in a dry spell.
Literally in the dog days of the NBA season, 12 games to go.
Yeah.
So I guess before we wrap here, then I got to talk about the Warriors. And I know you got to hear about this too, because the Warriors have evolved again because you've seen this too. They're good enough to get a lead and then they just blow the lead.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make this quick because there's not a whole lot to talk about here. They're 2-8 in their last 10. Just a whole lot of nothing. Stephen Curry is allegedly coming back soon. So that will be great. But at this point, dude, it went from, I know exactly how this has gone. It's gone from let's try and catch the Suns at the 7 seed to let's not let the Clippers pass us to let's not let the Blazers pass us to God, let's maybe try to move back up to number 9. They're at 10 right now, half a game behind. Oh, no, sorry, a game and a half behind the Blazers, who own them in the season series, by the way. And it just
was it a sweep? Did they sweep them?
No, I think it was 3-1.
Okay.
But the Warriors, they have a way out. They have the Mavericks tonight, then they have Brooklyn, Washington, then then they have we already talked about this. I forgot. Like you have 1, 2, 3. I see 5 winnable games on this final stretch. 5 out of 11, by the way.
Okay.
So 5 and 6 to end the season, brother. That's not.
What's the timeline on Steph? Is he supposed to come back anytime soon or no?
Well, he was going to get evaluated again because the week is up.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you gotta these 3 games: Mavericks, Nets, Wizards.
You gotta have them.
You gotta go 3-0. That has to be 3-0.
You got yeah. So
tonight might be a little difficult because the Mavs are bad, but they're not like they have Cooper Flag, so you got to.
Well, it's like the Pelicans, bro. The Pelicans are one of those teams where they're not a championship contending team on paper, but they should be better than what they are, to be honest with you. Yeah. Okay, just reported. Curry. Oh, so obviously he's not playing today. He will be reevaluated before they take the court on Wednesday versus the Nets.
Okay.
So that's not saying he's going to play versus the Nets. He probably isn't. But it's just, bro, they're 6-15 without him.
Yeah.
The bottom has officially fallen out.
Has he missed 21 straight games, or is that just their record this year?
21 straight. Play? He's missed 21 straight games because he hasn't played since the All-Star break.
Okay, that's right.
And I think he missed games right before the All-Star break too. So just no business, bro. For context, you're going to like this. Here's 8, 9, and 10. Clippers, 35 and 36. Trailblazers, 35 and 37. The Warriors, 33 and 38.
Dude. 2-8 in the last 10.
Do you think when they created this play-in tournament, they thought they were going to have to be helping the Warriors out 3 of the years that they had it?
I guess. Maybe.
And 2 of those years the first 2 times they didn't even make the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's, dude. You want to talk about legacies? I mean, Steph Curry's legacy is sealed. Greatest point guard ever, all of that. But he's getting he's on the same trajectory, not as bad, but the end of Kobe Bryant's career. He had a bad injury or 2. The Lakers plummeted. They were the worst team in basketball. I'm not saying the Warriors are the worst team in basketball. They're not. They're painfully just below average this year, which is what makes it even worse.
Yeah.
But, like, dude, it's just not getting any better. The front office ain't doing anything, bro.
Yeah. I mean, they're not the worst team in basketball, but, I mean, if someone were to listen to you talk about them, they might as well be.
They're not the worst team in basketball. They're not. They're just not. Oh, my camera, dude. Like, I was talking all of that and the camera turned off. They're just not. Like, they're just not a great team.
Yeah.
And that's the saddest part. We have the greatest point guard in basketball. Still got it. Unk still got it. And they just can't put a decent team together, man. Well, it's a decent team. The problem is it's only decent.
Right.
Because you and I, we literally said this at the beginning of the year. When they had the Kuminga signing, he got traded, by the way. We were like, this isn't a good enough team. And then when they traded Kuminga and brought in Porzingis, not enough. That's what I said. And what is it still? Not enough. So unless they make some drastic changes this offseason, like the Warriors lost their assets to go and make a Giannis trade. Like, unless you go flip Porzingis again, but like Kuminga was the box office addition that was part of the potential Giannis trade. So I bring that up because if Giannis is going to get traded this offseason, the Warriors kind of put themselves out of the running for it, unless they trade away Draymond, which, you know, they scared him and everything to like not do it. So
right.
It's like one step forward, two steps back with Golden State. So
yeah.
God, maybe if somebody did listen to me, they think they're the worst team in basketball. No, because like we called the Kings the most ethical tank.
Yeah.
Like they have no choice but to tank. The Warriors have a choice. Do the right thing. Get into the play. Let's win 2 play-in games and go face the Thunder and bow out in 5. At least we can do that. But I don't even know if they're going to do that at least. Because I don't know if they can beat the Blazers. I really don't know if they beat them once out of 4 tries, bro. I don't know if that, like, can they get them on an off night? Maybe. But they got to win the next 3. You're absolutely right. So they're just starting versus Dallas. That's where we'll end this episode. Just a couple more weeks until our teams are eliminated and we can't rant about them anymore.
Dude, in a way I'm happy, but I'm also kind of sad because like I'm not going to see my team in the playoffs, but it's also a good thing because I'm not going to see my team in the playoffs. So
yeah, that team can't hurt you.
It's a win-win, basically.
They can't hurt you in the playoffs this year, Daniel. And that there's a level of peace there. It's like Thanos at the end of Infinity War when he sits down after same thing.
Maybe I'm not sad. Maybe I'm just happy that that Bucks basketball can't ruin my days anymore.
You're not sad, you're relieved.
Yeah, that's a good word. That's a good way to describe it.
Anyway, that's all we have for this episode of the Professional Hate Watching Association. Thank you for tuning into episode 9+10. For Daniel, I'm Ethan. We will be back again. Yeah, we should be back next week. But for now, that's all for this episode. Thank you for watching. See you next time.